Title: The Echoes Within. In the small town of Crestwood, nestled between dense forests and rolling hills, there was a house that stood abandoned at the edge of town. Locals whispered of its dark past, of the tragic events that had unfolded within its walls decades ago. But to the young residents of Crestwood, it was merely a source of fascination, a place to test their bravery on dares and dauntless nights. One such group of friends, consisting of Emma, Ben, and Jack, decided to explore the old house one moonless night. They crept through the overgrown garden and forced open the creaking front door, their laughter echoing through the empty rooms. As they made their way through the dusty corridors, a sense of unease began to settle over them. Emma, always the daredevil of the group, suggested they split up to cover more ground. Ben hesitated, but Jack shrugged and agreed, eager to prove his fearlessness. Reluctantly, they went in separate directions, their flashlights cutting through the thick darkness like knives. As Emma wandered the hallway, a faint whisper seemed to beckon her towards the staircase leading to the basement. Ignoring the warning bells in her mind, she descended into the bowels of the house, the air growing colder with each step. At the bottom of the stairs, she found herself in a dimly lit room, filled with old furniture covered in dusty sheets. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows, its face obscured by darkness. Emma froze, her heart pounding in her chest, as the figure began to speak in a voice that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. "You should not have come here," it whispered, sending shivers down her spine. "This house holds secrets that should never see the light of day." Quote, Emma tried to scream, but no sound escaped her lips. The figure drew closer, its features gradually becoming clearer in the dim light. It was a woman, her eyes filled with a mixture of sadness and rage. "I am the echo of the past, trapped within these walls," the woman continued, her voice hollow and haunting. "And I will not let you leave until you face the truth that lies buried here." Quote, Meanwhile, Ben and Jack were exploring the upper floors, unaware of the terror unfolding below. Ben felt a chill run down his spine as he entered a room filled with old photographs and newspaper clippings. The images showed a family torn apart by tragedy, their faces frozen in grief and despair. As Jack examined a dusty mirror, his reflection began to distort and contort, showing him visions of unspeakable horror. He stumbled back in shock, his breath coming in ragged gasps, as a voice whispered in his ear, "Face your fears, for they are the key to your salvation." Quote, Back in the basement, Emma was confronted with the truth of the house's dark past. The woman, whose name was revealed to be Sarah, had been driven to madness by a series of tragic events that had unfolded within the house. Her family had suffered unspeakable horrors, leaving her tormented and broken. Sarah's spirit had lingered within the house, unable to move on until someone faced the truth of what had happened. Emma listened in horror as Sarah recounted the events that had led to her family's downfall, the echoes of their pain reverberating through the walls. As the first light of dawn began to filter through the windows, Emma, Ben, and Jack found each other in the basement, their faces pale and filled with dread. They knew they had to confront the darkness that lurked within the house if they ever hoped to leave its grip behind. Together, they stood before Sarah's spirit, who gazed at them with a mixture of sadness and longing. In a voice filled with sorrow, she whispered, "You have seen the truth now, but the choice is yours. Will you let the echoes of the past consume you, or will you find the strength to break free?" With trembling hands, Emma, Ben, and Jack made their decision. They faced the horrors of the past head-on, acknowledging the pain and suffering that had haunted the house for so long. And as they did, they felt a sense of release, as if chains had been broken and burdens lifted. As they stepped out into the early morning light, the old house behind them seemed to shimmer and fade, its dark secrets finally laid to rest. And though the memories of that fateful night would linger in their minds forever, Emma, Ben, and Jack knew that they had faced their fears and emerged stronger for it. And they would never forget the echoes of the past that had shaped their destinies.